Hello there, everyone. I'm Rachael Walker, the founder and owner of Life's a Buch Kombucha, which is a local kombucha company located here in Colorado. I'm hosting the 2021 Startup Week Women Who Brew panel. So join us for this awesome informational panel to learn more about the aspects of the industry, the challenges that we face in a male-dominated industry, and the challenges that we've faced during the pandemic. Hi there, everyone. We are so excited to have you here today. Welcome to the 2021 Startup Week panel of Women Who Brew. We are excited to be here to share our insights and resources about different aspects of the brewing industry and the challenges we have faced in a male-dominated industry. My name is Rachael Walker, and I am the founder and owner of Life's a Buch Kombucha, located here in Fort Collins. Today, I'm joined by my beautiful fellow brewing ladies, Stefanie Mecklenburg, who is the co-owner of Jackie's Java here in town, and Haley Warren, who is the head brewer at Sparge Brewing, located in Wellington. Like I mentioned before, my name is Rachael Walker, and I am the owner and founder of Fort Collins local kombucha company, Life's a Buch. I've been in Fort Collins for almost 12 years now. I'm a Colorado native. My background has been in the natural foods industry for over 10 years. After working in management at Whole Foods for 6 years, I moved on to move to a nationwide natural food sales rep company called Basemakers, where I worked as the Rocky Mountain Regional Manager. It was there where I found my love for sales, marketing, and merchandising. And that's also where I started my journey about starting my own kombucha business. I started brewing in my basement apartment over 5 years ago, and am proud to say Life's a Buch just celebrated our 3rd year in business at the beginning of this month. In my free time, you can find me paddleboarding on Horsetooth, riding my bike to a local brewery, or playing my piano. We also have Stefanie here with us. Stefanie is a self-described lifelong entrepreneur. Growing up in Southwest Colorado, Stefanie experienced firsthand what it takes to run a family business by being involved in the laundromats and the dry cleaners that her parents owned throughout her childhood. After graduating from the University of Nevada in Las Vegas, she returned to Colorado, where she worked for the Durango Chamber of Commerce, which served to further ignite her passion for small business and economic development. Stefanie and her husband, Chris, moved to Fort Collins in 2010, where they purchased their first business, a local liquor store. They ran that business for 9 years, selling in 2019, and were offered the opportunity to buy Jackie's Java in September of 2020, something they felt that was meant to be because they were already hooked on Jackie's Java. When they're not working, Stefanie and Chris enjoy travel, camping in their RV, and spending time in their old town bungalow with their 3 rescue animals, gardening, cooking, and exploring the bike and beer culture of Fort Collins. We also have Haley Warren here with us. She is originally from Greenville, South Carolina, and has been brewing professionally for about 4 years. She moved to Colorado in 2016 and received a degree in fermentation science and technology in the spring of 2019. While studying it up as a student, she worked with a teaching assistant for a couple of brewing-related courses within the major. She then went on to obtain an internship at Bayer's Analytical Brewing Sciences, which is a QA/QC lab located here in Fort Collins. From there, she landed a job as assistant brewer at McClellan's Brewing Company. While she enjoyed brewing at McClellan's, she left to gain more education and work experience in malting. Malting taught her a lot about raw materials and more on how to influence brewing parameters and recipe development. She would like to give a special thanks to Troubadour Maltings and Grouse Malt House for giving her those opportunities and work experiences. Eventually, she found her way back into brewing, and the right opportunity presented itself, and that's how she ended up at Sparge Brewing today. In her free time, you can find Haley and her pets exploring the trails of the great outdoors and checking out the local Colorado brewery scene. If she's not out and about taking in the fresh air, she's at home relaxing with her fur babies and occasionally making a mess while trying to paint. So with that, I will pass on the screen to Stefanie Mecklenburg, who is one of the co-owners of Jackie's Java.
All right, thank you, Rachael. Get myself shared here. All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Stefanie Mecklenburg, and I'm the co-owner of Jackie's Java here in Fort Collins. I'm very honored and excited to be a part of Fort Collins Startup Week and to be among this group of amazing women brewers. So for me, my career path has been very indicative of my generation. I was raised by parents who were small business owners, so I grew up working for them and with a special understanding of what it's like to own a business on the day-to-day. I left home to attend college in Las Vegas, hell-bent on doing something different with my life. I wanted to be a screenwriter, but the universe brought me back home, and eventually I found myself in the same position as many millennials, working two jobs, one for the Durango Chamber of Commerce and the other at my parents' dry cleaners. It was during this time that my passion for small business grew, both from my own family and from interacting with so many other small business owners through the chamber. I knew I had the wherewithal to run my own business, and my opportunity came when I met my husband, Chris. Finding someone with similar life goals set into motion the path that would lead to my career as an entrepreneur. We chose the packaged liquor industry because at the time it was considered a relatively safe industry in Colorado due to our liquor laws. And we knew it was an opportunity for us to learn on the job at a business that was already successful. Our main job back then, and now, if I'm being totally honest, was just to not screw it up. So right away, we immediately started researching every aspect of the industry, including going as far as reading a Wine for Dummies book, just to familiarize ourselves with the terminology and just to, have a basic understanding of what we were getting into. We were approved for a sizable loan from the SBA, and with that, we were suddenly business owners in our late 20s. Which brings me to my first bit of advice. Don't let a lack of experience, your age, or a lack of money hold you back. The SBA exists specifically to help people like us. Created in 1953, the U.S. Small Business Administration, or SBA, continues to help small business owners and entrepreneurs pursue the American dream. The SBA is the only cabinet-level federal agency fully dedicated to small business, and it provides counseling, capital, and contracting expertise as the nation's only go-to resource for small businesses. The loans we've received are the 7A loan, which is essentially a low down payment commercial loan with a down payment of about 15 to 20% as opposed to 50% for a conventional commercial loan. Many banks do SBA loans, with the largest lenders being Chase Bank, Wells Fargo, and KeyBank. They all do loans for different industries. They all kind of want to diversify their portfolios different. So if one turns you down, don't be discouraged. Look for another one. I think 3 different banks turned us down before one was willing to do this loan for Jackie's. With this, our first loan for Fabby's was from Wells Fargo, and our second one, this one, is from KeyBank. So ask around, you'll find it. My credit was not great when we got the first loan. And we scraped together literally every last dollar we had for that down payment, but we were still able to get the loan, service the loan, and eventually we paid that loan off with 2 years to spare. So you can do it too. We just did it again to buy Jackie's, so it's doable. I'm very happy to answer any questions you might have about the SBA process, or if you're curious about any of the inner workings. I feel pretty familiar with it at this point. I've gone through it twice successfully, so I'm pretty familiar with how it all works and what they're looking for. So for me, I thoroughly enjoyed the liquor industry, and not just because the parties were fun. It was truly satisfying to provide a product for people that made them happy and that they really enjoyed, and our customers at Fabby's were the best. Work was always fun and it was exciting, and our favorite part was meeting with our small producers and hearing their passion about their products, and it led Chris and I to the desire to produce something ourselves, which is why when Jackie's came up, it was such a perfect fit for us. My favorite part of my new job is that we make a product from start to finish that people can enjoy and can enjoy with their whole families. I have a personal fondness for sociology and anthropology, so getting the opportunity to be involved with supply chains and commodity trading is fascinating, and it makes me feel like I have more of an impact on the world than ever before. Brewing feels like an ancient industry, and it's something that has existed as long as civilization itself. I mean, coffee was traded on the Silk Road. It's really cool to be a part of that. But speaking of supply chains, that's been our biggest challenge in the industry so far. We roast and package coffee beans, and those beans come from all over the world, including our packagings, our flavorings, you name it. So we're often at the mercy of our suppliers. It's caused a lot of headaches during COVID times, a lot of delays, a lot of, everything. But I think we're lucky to be brewers right now because we do make a product that gets people through the day, through the month, through the year. Coffee's addictive, but it also is a product that's affordable and is something that people can afford all the time. We're fortunate that Jackie's has existed for so long. The company has been here for 17 years. So with that came a lot of diversity in revenue streams. So we've been very thankful. That's really kept us afloat during this time. For example, during COVID, when our office business died down, our direct to consumer and home deliveries picked up. So, we were very thankful to have that diverse revenue, honestly. And I'll admit that I've probably had an easier time succeeding in a man's world than others, just because I have my husband, who is my business partner. It's an unfortunate truth that many people will look to Chris for validation when I make a statement, or that to some people, my statements carry more weight just because they think that he's somehow involved in every decision I make. It's silly, but I think that as I've grown older, it maybe happens less, but maybe I'm just a little more prepared to deal with it when it does. I find that it's better to make declarative statements instead of asking or ending your sentences with an upward inflection. I've also found it helps to use more I statements as opposed to we statements, but that can be difficult because I do have a business partner and we do make most of our decisions together. I've learned also how to own my own success and to not be intimidated by, the big businessmen in the community who think that, or who treat women with a level of dismissal that they would never express to another man. I find that if I'm being condescended to by someone who's my equal, I'll condescend right back to them. It usually helps, kind of shows them how they're acting if they're not already aware of it. And it's personality mirroring. It works, it's positive and negative, it works. I do think our culture is shifting in a positive direction, but learning how to handle men is an unfortunate reality I think we all have to face. Being a young business owner has meant that both Chris and I have had to work twice as hard to prove how capable we are. So we just always try to show up well-researched, well-dressed, and ready to jump in and do the work. It's not the greatest advice, but we just have to be better at everything. So my daily duties at the roastery are not, they're mostly administrative. I'm not actually the roaster. At a business of our size, my main job is just to make sure our work environment is a good one, whatever that means. So I'm sometimes that translates into creating new positions and hiring, or sometimes I'm working farmers markets. Sometimes I'm making deliveries. Sometimes I'm on the production floor. Other days I'm just answering the phone and emails. Like, it really depends. And the most successful business owners I've ever known all have one thing in common. None of them are ever above doing any job, no matter what. And you have to be ready and willing to jump in at a moment's notice. My advice for women wanting to get into brewing is to go for it. The more women and the more diversity we can have in every industry is a good thing, regardless of who it is. And people from all experiences and backgrounds are valuable, and they bring different things to the table. I think the future is very bright for business in this country because we all have diverse experiences and we all bring something different. So go for it. The more of us, the better. In the coffee industry specifically, we're experiencing a third wave of coffee culture that's increasingly being led by women, which was a really long time coming. Women are heavily involved in the picking and sorting of coffee beans and are now finally rising into leadership positions and positions of traders, all around the world. So we hope in the future to be able to support these women-led farms and these women traders more, and to hopefully become a leader in our industry as, a company that elevates women and girls locally and around the world. And I want to conclude by reiterating 3 elements that I believe are integral to my success, which are confidence, a positive attitude, and work ethic. I truly believe that at the end of the day, the best way to be successful is to believe in yourself and then do the work. Remember that you're an intelligent person with a lot to offer, and then roll up your sleeves and do it. I'm incredibly grateful to everyone along the way who's taught me things, employees who take time to teach me how to do things, other business owners who reach out and help guide me through the industry. There's a lot of people around who are willing to help you, and you can always ask. Life is a collaborative effort. No one person is more important. We all bring something to the table. Life is collaborative, and I've accomplished everything because of everyone I've worked alongside all these years. Every job, every experience you have is valuable, and it's led you to where you are today. I may not be using my film degree, but I can look back on my life's experience and recognize every step along the way as something that was important. So you'll make mistakes, you might even burn some bridges, but you'll find your path to success. And you should use the SBA. And now here's Rachel. I will stop sharing.
Awesome. Thank you, Stefanie. Your guys's snickerdoodle coffee is my absolute favorite.
Thank you. That's my favorite flavor too. I love it.
All right. Thank you guys for bearing with us while we change our screens to present to you guys. Well, like I mentioned before, my name is Rachael Walker, and I am the founder and owner of Life's a Buch, which is a kombucha company located here in Fort Collins. Before I get into my slides, I want to explain what kombucha is, though, because a lot of people actually don't know. So, what is kombucha? Kombucha is a fizzy, fermented, sweet and sour tea. It's fermented with a SCOBY, which stands for Symbiotic Culture of Bacteria and Yeast. That is a SCOBY that I'm holding in that picture right there. That thing is massive. It's literally just a huge cellulose membrane of bacteria and yeast. That thing probably weighs 50 pounds. It's huge. Since it has bacteria and yeast, that means it's full of probiotics. It's really good for your digestive system. It's also full of antioxidants and vitamins. Fun fact about our kombucha is Life's a Buch only has 6 grams of sugar per bottle, whereas you go to the grocery store and you get a bottle of GT's kombucha or Kavita's kombucha, those bottles have almost up to 20 grams of sugar. So there really is a big difference when you're getting an authentically small craft brewed kombucha. I started brewing kombucha when I was 26 years old. While working at Whole Foods, I obtained a SCOBY from a friend and immediately started brewing in my basement apartment. It was there that our OG flavor, blueberry chai, was born. Before I knew it, my coworkers and my friends were lining up to buy my Buch as it had a really unique flavor profile and super bubbly profile as well. I then came up with the idea to start a kombucha company. Never in a million years did I think we would be where we are today. In 2018, I moved into my commissary kitchen. And a commissary kitchen, for those of you who don't know, is a shared kitchen space where businesses like myself can produce and manufacture their foods, their product. It wasn't long after that where we quickly grew out of that kitchen and started looking for our own place. In February of 2020, I'm happy to say we signed a space for our own lease, which is awesome. Fun fact, we're just a few doors down from Stefanie and Chris at Jackie's Java. When we first began in 2018, you can see in the top right there, we started brewing in 1 to 2 gallon glass jars. As you can imagine, that was a lot of washing dishes. We now use a 4-barrel tank, so that's about 264 gallons right there on the bottom left, and we're expecting to outgrow that tank in the next few months. Just shy over 3 years old, we are now offered in over 45 retail locations along the Front Range region, and we also offer 6 flavors. You can see we just got our new labels redone. They look pretty great. We have cucumber basil, berry lemonade, apple cider, pineapple mint, which is our most popular, turmeric ginger, which is my favorite, and then blueberry chai, which is our OG babe. As of now, I only have one employee, Sam, who is my head brewer. I feel super fortunate. My 2 brewers that I've worked with in the 3 years of business have been some of my closest friends. And I feel really lucky because I know business and pleasure doesn't always mix. And my newest brewer, Sam, is actually my friend who got me into brewing and fermenting kombucha in the first place. So it's kind of cool, full circle moment now that Sam is actually working for me and is on payroll. So aside from the brewing and bottling process, I am a one-woman show. I do everything from bookkeeping, washing kegs, events, sales, marketing, deliveries, you name it, I probably do it. We're very involved with the community and love to be a part of local events around town. You can find us Saturdays at the Old Town Market, and then Sundays we're also at the Fort Collins Market here in Fort Collins. We're also hoping to expand to Laramie, Boulder, and Longmont and Denver this summer for the farmers market seasons as well. Like every other business in town, COVID has brought a lot of struggles to us. Getting ingredients and packaging and orders consistently has been and continues to be a huge struggle. As Haley can vouch, there's been a nationwide can and bottle shortage since last March of 2020, and it does not look like it's going to get better anytime soon. So it's actually been a really big problem for us getting our bottles in consistently. I've been waiting over 7 months for our new bottles. Hopefully they'll be here by the end of March. We're not really too sure. But, you know, leaning out on other suppliers and other businesses to maybe get bottles, using your resources around town has definitely been a huge help. We've also had problems with sourcing new places to get ingredients, as sometimes our current supplier is out of an ingredient. So like I said, you know, reaching out to other businesses and other suppliers. So please feel free to reach out to us after this panel with any questions about packaging and ingredients. We had to develop a completely different business model due to COVID, with all of the restaurants and bars shutting down. While some still order, a lot of them are not, to cut cost, which I get, but you know, that is a way we make a lot of our profit, is by delivering to local stores. So like Stefanie and Chris at Jackie's Java, we had to act fast, and we also started a home direct-to-consumer delivery service where you can get kombucha delivered straight to your door, contact-free. With the new bottles we're getting, we're also working on expanding into Whole Foods and hoping to get approved for the next category review in May, which is pretty exciting. Like I mentioned before, we just signed our lease in February 2020 last year. No one knew what was about to happen with the world, the calm before the storm. Not the best time to sign a lease. So I did have to pull out a few loans to build out the kitchen. It was a completely empty warehouse that we built into a fully functioning kitchen. So I obtained a PPP loan from First Bank Colorado, which is my personal bank, and that loan is forgivable. I also got an economic impact disaster loan, excuse me, it's a tongue twister to say, and that has a really low interest rate and a 30-year payment plan. We also got a grant from our local community here in Fort Collins, so please feel free to reach out with any question regarding any of that as well. Being female in a predominantly male industry definitely has its challenges. There has been multiple experiences where I've been looked down on, condescended, ignored, or just not taken seriously. You should see the looks I get when I'm carrying kegs down the street. It's pretty funny. It's also very empowering because, as Haley can vouch, those kegs are not light, they're pretty heavy. So it definitely makes me feel very strong. Here's some advice I have for all of you women who are considering getting into this industry. First is to walk the walk and talk the talk, which leads me to my next point, is because have confidence, because you are a queen. Show everyone the amazing, capable, strong woman that you are, and you're sure to be successful. Make sure to educate yourself on your industry, whether that be coffee, beer, or kombucha. If you feel like you're not super educated on the terms and the way that the industry runs, do some research on your own so you can sound and actually know what you're talking about. Lean on fellow women in the business, in your industry. Empowered women empower women. So surround yourself with the best and don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it. Last but not least, one of my favorite quotes, do no harm, take no, you know what. Be respectful to your peers and your colleagues, but don't let them make you feel less than or walk all over you. Stand up for yourself in a situation where no one else is. If someone's making fun of you or being condescending, give them a taste of their own medicine, in all respects, of course. But most importantly, always, always, always be an advocate for yourself and for your business first. I am a firm believer that you are a product of your own environment, so surround yourself with the best. I have been so blessed with the support system I have. My friends and my mom specifically, and my close friends, are almost embarrassing with how supportive they are of me and Life's a Booch. But I also feel so lucky to have such a solid support group behind me. My friends offer to come and break me at the farmer's market so I can walk around and take a breather. We also have bottle parties in the kitchen as well. So I definitely feel very fortunate to have such a strong group of friends and a circle around me. Don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it. Surround yourself with positive people who believe in your dreams, encourage your ideas, and support your ambitions, and they will bring out the best in you. This is truly the backbone to my success. So through one of my fellow women in business, I got introduced to Nick Armstrong, who is one of the guys who's running Startup Week. They reached out to me last year to be part of another panel. We made this awesome collaboration kombucha for the end of year party. No parties happening this year, unfortunately. Things are looking a little different. However, we did brew up another special collaboration kombucha with Happy Lucky's Tea House. So starting today, head to their Old Town location to get a cup or a growler of their pear black almond kombucha. It is so good. We brewed it with organic pears and their black almond tea. It is amazing. So that'll be available until supplies last. We only brewed 2 kegs, so go and get it fast. You can also visit our website, lifesabuch.com, to get 10% off during Startup Week, and I will deliver that straight to your door. Just insert the code LOCALBUCHA at the end for your discount, and I'll get that to you. While being in this industry has definitely had its challenges, I'm very grateful for the experiences it has given me. In the past 3 years, I've learned so much about myself, business, and the meaning of community. I feel so strong in year 3 and cannot wait to see what the next 3 years have in store. Thank you. And with that, I will go ahead and pass on the mic to Haley. If you guys haven't been to Sparge Brewing yet in Wellington, I definitely recommend going. She brews some of the best beer around.
Thank you, Rachel. Let me just get set up here. All right. Okay, so I'm Haley, and like Rachel said, I'm the head brewer over at Sparge Brewing. Let's jump right in. Okay, so I started home brewing in my late teens, and I have a cousin who was offered a full ride to Heriot-Watt University in Scotland to become a master distiller. Turns out she turned that offer down, and I just thought she was crazy for doing so. And that's kind of how I found my way into the education side of things. Started dabbling a little bit here and there with the home brewing and started researching and reading more literature and just decided to go for it. So I studied biochemistry for 3 years at Coastal Carolina in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and just kind of got tired of like the really technical sciencey stuff and wanted to focus it more on beer. So I transferred to CSU in Fort Collins, where I obtained the degree of fermentation science and technology. So while I was there, I mentioned in the bio, I just really got after it and got involved, and that landed me a job in the industry. So I started at Byers Analytical Brewing Sciences. That was my internship, and they led me to McClelland's Brewing Company. So McClelland's Brewing Company was my first brewing job, where I learned a lot about the production side of beer and how to run a brewery. I then went on to work in malting, which taught me a lot about raw materials and supply chains, a little bit about sales and marketing as well. So all of these work experiences are what led me to where I am today as head brewer. So as head brewer, this is what my typical day looks like. And I've got a lot of cleaning. I'm sure you've heard it before. If you've got time to lean, you've got time to clean. Or 90% of brewing is cleaning, and only about 10% is actual brewing. From there, it's a lot of QA/QC checks where I'm checking gravities, sampling flavor profiles, and CO2 checks, etc. The next is maintenance. There's always maintenance to be done. So that's checking glycol levels, blowing down the boiler, and making sure to grease all the bearings on the mill. And then the list just goes on there. So then the next is tank shifting. This is probably the majority of my week, is cleaning to do the tank shifting and then shifting of tanks to clean them again to go back into them. So from there, it's a lot of troubleshooting. So what do you do if you get a stuck mash? What do you do if you have a hop plug that's clogging your pipes, or your glycol chiller goes down? Who do you call? How do you fix it? It's a lot of quick on the spot learning and doing. The next is planning and packaging. I'm looking at brew schedules, making sure to order raw materials ahead of time to have them for those brew days, and then packaging for the tap room versus outside sales. And then the next would be, I'm probably brewing 2 to 3 times a week, depending on those tank spaces. I only have 3 fermenters. Luckily, I have a lot of brights, but it's tank time. So I'm probably brewing really 1 to 2 times a week, but 3 if I'm lucky, which is ideal. And then finally, I'm babysitting the beers that are in process. I'm basically an overglorified janitor. And brewer is really just a sexy term for expensive babysitter with an emphasis in brewing sciences. So some of the challenges I've faced in this 2020 era of COVID have been the supply chain management. So what do you do when you can't get your raw materials on time? Who do you call? Where do you go? Luckily, like many of us have mentioned before, you rely on others in the industry because everybody wants to help you, and they will. The next is communication. I'm going to talk more about this in the next slide and give you some tips and tricks on how to navigate efficient and effective communication. Troubleshooting. This is the hardest thing because accidents happen and it's never ending and it's constantly ongoing. And then finally, hitting deadlines. Like I said, we're such a small brewery, we're only 5 barrels, and I only have 3 fermenters. So it's, as sales pick up, where there's more demand and not enough supply. So tank shifting has been difficult to do it in a timely fashion. My goals for 2021 are to learn more about mechanics so that I can fix more things on my own and not have to be put on hold with customer service. And then finally, I would love to win a GABF medal. That's been a dream of mine since I started home brewing. So with that, it's time to hustle. All right, so let's talk about communication and what it is to be a woman in the industry. Accidents are gonna happen, so don't apologize when it happens. Just strategize on how you're gonna fix it. The next is be confident. Confidence really is key. You know what you're doing, you know what you're talking about, show it. And then the reverse psychology is my favorite point for this, is sometimes in order to break through to somebody, you have to make them believe that it was their idea all along. So plant the seed and then wait about 2 weeks and you'll see light bulb moment, it's their idea. The next is stand your ground. Don't be afraid, like don't let people push you around. It's that confidence factor. You belong here, you deserve to be here, you've worked hard to get here. Stand your ground and don't let somebody throw you around. Also, be humble and ask questions. When you ask questions, it shows that you're engaged, but it also provides you with a respectful opportunity to outwit the other, where some people just like to show off with how much they know, but they get caught up in the wording and you're able to catch them on it and then show them what you know, which shows you know what you're talking about and why you belong here, and a lot of people will take you more seriously. So with that, I don't have a lot of resources, but please feel free to use me as a resource if you need, but I do have a lot of advice. So own your mistakes. You know, those accidents are gonna happen and there's just nothing you can do about it. This is probably one of my favorite piece of advice that I've ever been given, is never math in public. So when somebody asks you what's the ABV, if you don't already know it, just say, look at the menu, or give me a minute and I'll come back. The next, this has been the key to my success, is find a mentor. Graham over at McClellan's, I owe him a lot of thanks, and he's just really gone above and beyond to make sure that I succeed, and thank you, Graham. The next is be nice to your sales reps and other customer service workers. It's not their fault when they can't get you what you need on time, and like COVID is happening too. Delays are gonna happen and there's just nothing you can do about it. Also, if you're a lot nicer to them, they'll sometimes sweeten the deal for you. If you're rude, they'll just hang up and you're not gonna get anywhere. The next is develop tough skin. You have to be tough in this industry. People are gonna say things to get under your skin, and it's that make or break moment. Are you gonna overreact or are you gonna overcome? So also the final is never stop learning. Every day is a learning experience and there's something to gain from it. So take every opportunity and treat it as a way and means to move on and gain. So with that, cheers guys. Thank you for listening. I'm gonna send it back over to Rachel.
Awesome, thanks Haley. I love the part so much when you talk about being friendly to your sales and service workers, because as we all know, we've had a huge issue trying to get packaging and ingredients and supplies in, and it's out of their control too. So be nice and you'll end up with what you want eventually, but be nice while you do it. All right, guys, let me go ahead and pull up our final screen. That way you guys can go ahead and see all of our closing information. We'll provide our email addresses. Sorry guys, let me go back here. Boop. Here you can find our email addresses and our websites as well. There we go. Sorry guys. Thanks for bearing with us here. Here we go. So on this last side, you guys, you can find all of our personal email addresses and our websites as well. I just want to say thank you guys so much for joining Stefanie, Haley, and myself for the Women Who Brew Startup Week panel for 2021. I don't know about you guys, but I now have a lot more information and knowledge about the different aspects of the industry, including leaning on your community and speaking up for yourself. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to reach out to us via website or email. We can definitely help you out with any resources or information that we shared here in our panel. And thank you so much. I hope everyone has a safe and healthy startup week. We'll see you guys soon. Cheers.